Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sarah Jones. This is another fixture in our Minisode series where I talk to listeners just like you and hear your own personal ghost stories. For this Minisode, I got to speak to Alex about something extremely unsettling he experienced when he was going to school in China. This is probably one of the creepiest minisodes I've ever had on the show. I hope you love it as much as I did. Here's the call.
Hello?
Hi, Alex. This is Sarah calling from Laughing in the Dark.
Hey, Sarah. It's Alex.
Not much. Listeners aren't going to know any of this, but we have had one hell of a time getting this call to work today.
Right. That's right.
No, it's not your fault at all. It's just funny how it's like we had a missed schedule and then it's like my SD card was full, just like things you couldn't even predict.
Yeah, definitely understand. But yeah.
So you were saying that you went to school in China.
Right.
At an international school.
Just international school. They spoke English. And yeah, it was just like kids from all over the world that attended the school. And Funny thing is, there was like no, Chinese students weren't allowed. It was only people that were just had foreign passports, basically. And it was just a law at that time, I guess, that if it was like an international school, and it would be something that was like, I guess like some of the things that they were teaching as well was probably like prohibited, for Chinese people to learn, I guess. Because it was like a Christian school as well. So it was a Christian school. And so that's why it was just kind of based on, certain people that were able to attend, I guess.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so this was back in like 2007 when all the incidents and just like things happened. So it was in China, and I also wanted to kind of make a clarification as well, because some of the things I'd be sharing, I know like this whole thing about China going with the coronavirus and like the trade wars between like U.S. and America and things like that. I know some people may not be like who are familiar with China or have no experience. Just wanted to kind of like put it out there that it's like, these are isolated incidents that has like no reflection on, just like the people or like, China in general. I think every place and country, has its own issues and problems, but, just from my experience, like China is like, has a wonderful culture, and, it is some parts like it's beautiful and just like really cool.
It's definitely like a bucket list place for me. I'd love to go to China.
Yeah. After the whole virus calms down and it gets taken care
Good idea. I've heard that Chinese food is nothing like our Americanized Chinese food. Yeah,
it's definitely not. It's like, a lot less sugar being used.
Yeah.
And, and I mean, like, some people might take it as like a bit like, more on the savory side of things, and not as sweet, but I mean, it's still good, and just depends on where you go as well. And the street food is amazing as well. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives a more well-rounded idea of the culture there.
Right. Yeah. Like the street food is, great. If you go to like the Asian parts of the country, like, Korea, or just like, different like Malaysia or, Taiwan, like the street food and
oh god, I bet
food carts are really good. So you should definitely try that out.
So how many years were you in China for?
For about 2 years.
Okay.
From 2005 to 2007. And it was in Tianjin, China.
Okay.
That was like the city.
And is this like, walk me through the ghost story? Like, where does it start?
Yeah. So I guess it's not necessarily like a ghost story, but more of like, I would categorize more of like kind of like something strange, like off, and like, some people like rumors are like, saying like demon possession or some kind of
Oh,
possession.
that's my
Yeah. So
favorite, demon possession. All right. I love it.
okay. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's just like, yeah, just disturbing, and, and just a lot of different, things that we're, learning after the fact, and just kind of knowing like some parts of human psychology. Like, there's just some things that were just kind of off, and like, so yeah, this is, so I guess, it's different parts of just like incidents of like just from my memory. It's not like this one continuous long, it's just like different parts of like just my experience with this, person, with this girl.
Okay.
And yeah, I remember her name being like Faye. And so I just kind of use Faye whenever I talk about her. But yeah, like I was a senior at that time, in high school. And, I believe she was like, I would say like around 15 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just kind of like this neighborhood girl. And she was, Chinese. And I remember seeing her, here and there. And she grew up in like a very abusive, and just like her parents were very mean to her, and just nasty, towards this person, towards her own to their own daughter. And I just remember, just rumors and just different things going around where she would just say like that Satan or like the devil was like kind of like her father or something like that, or and just like because of just like I think a lot of just dark situations that she was just around and stuff. And but this was like, from what other people are just kind of like telling me, so I didn't know like if this is just rumors or not, but I would
Like, was
see
she,
her
just to be clear, and also just from like
right.
the impression that you got, was it that she was
Mm-hmm.
saying her father, who was a dick, was the devil? Or was she saying the guy that you guys knew as her father is not her father, Satan in hell is her father?
Right. I don't know.
Okay,
Like,
gotcha.
yeah.
I mean, I'd just like to clarify,
Right. Yeah, that's, yeah, just never, I'm thinking could be, the demon itself, but then again, I don't know, because her parent or her dad was a dick, very mean to her. And so, yeah. So I think, so I remember, just, seeing her here and there, from like the courtyard a little bit, because we were like neighbors, and she lived like across apartment buildings, because China, there's a lot of like buildings that were, apartments. There weren't really houses in like major cities, like the U.S. where it's, individual houses and stuff like that. But it was just a makeup of a bunch of like big apartments. And so she lived across, and I remember seeing incidents where her dad would just abuse her, like at the courtyard one time. I just remember hearing just someone yelling, and it was her dad, just yelling at her and like pushing her down, and just really like being very abusive. And I guess like in China, like domestic violence and things like that weren't really, people didn't really, go out and like try to help you or anything. A lot of times it was just kind of like more like, oh, your business is your business and my business is my business kind of thing. And people don't really like call the cops on each other kind of thing. And just because I think it was just a lot of like, it was just kind of useless, I guess, in terms of calling the cops for domestic violence kind of situation. Because I felt like, the police or whatever, they cared more about like big things like, murder or like drugs or things like that. But if it came to like domestic violence, that was just kind of like, they wouldn't go, to help or whatever, or take a long time kind of thing. So I think that just the priority was definitely different. And so people didn't really, say like, hey, there's something going on. And so I think that was another reason why I think, abuse and everything like that for them was just a very common thing for them. And so I remember, and also like to give you a description, like she was just, very like skinny, and it seemed like she wasn't really getting fed or anything, and to like long hair that didn't seem, kept up at all, just very long and, dark and messy. And and just seemed very like, just like, like seemed very sad,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
but, and just like a little bit, it was just very sad situation. And but I just remember like looking across down and seeing that happening, and it was happening for a while, where it was just like, there's like several people just kind of like standing afar watching, and I think it got to the point where she like was just getting all like just being pushed down and just kind of getting cussed at and yelled at. And then all of a sudden you hear just like this deep but like loud scream from her that was just like definitely not from like this world. Like it was very just like, like it was just like something I'd never heard before. But at the same time, it was like, almost like the movies where, like where if someone was like demon possessed, it was just like a loud scream of just like something super like, loud and weird. And it was like definitely not from like you would expect from her frame, that was just like guttural. You know what I mean? It was just, definitely. And and then right, it was like, it went on, like that scream went on for like, seemed for a very long time, for like almost like a minute or something like that. Like,
wait, was it like a deep sound, like an animal growling, like almost like a male sound, or was it like a high pitched?
It was, I would say like on the lines of maybe a male, but but definitely not like you would expect if you were to not see her. Like it was from a girl, that was like 15. It was like it was just like, it was hard to describe, like, but it was just
trying to like hear it in my mind.
Weird. And it and it wasn't like anything she just said. She just like screamed, and then after that scream, like her dad also said a weird response that was like in Chinese, like he was just like, that's the reason and that's the problem kind of thing,
Was he saying that to her or to like the people looking around?
To her. No, to her, like, and so from like my assumption now of like what that meant was like, like something strange is going on, like, because, that's not a normal scream, you know what I mean? And him saying like, that's the reason, that's the problem, like, made it seem like there was something wrong with her, and maybe that's why he was like treating her, in this way.
It's like, even if you're like demon possessed, it's like you're still the victim. You don't just kick the shit out of her. Like, what was he thinking? Like, why would that help?
I don't know. It was just seemed like I don't know. Maybe it's like a fear of just back being either uneducated or whatever could be, or like Salem witch trial and all that stuff. Like, like when people were accusing them of being witches, they are like, want to like hurt them or abuse, something that's strange or off or weird or unexplainable. Like, I think it's either you treat it, with, malice or hatred, or, you try to figure out how you can help the situation. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It almost seems like,
But
though, too, like, even if it didn't help the girl, which it clearly doesn't, why would you
right.
want to piss off a demon? Like, I just feel like
Yeah.
that's like not the way to go. And maybe that's where your story's going. I don't know. But it just seems like,
Yeah.
why would you poke a bear?
Yeah. I don't know. It's strange. Maybe it's like some kind of human dynamic of like, oh, it's your child, so you feel like you can kind of like you know have some power or
Be in
control over
control.
something. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then but
Woof.
at the same time, it's like, yeah, what you said is right. If it is something that's supernatural or weird, like, yeah,
It's
like
just like
I
from
don't
so
think
many angles.
that's
It's
gonna
like,
help.
this is not the way to go, bro.
Right. Yep. Yep. Exactly. So yeah, so that was like my first incident or experience of just something that was just really weird and off.
Right.
But as the story goes on, it gets even crazier. But so so I think another time, this was like during like when I was about to graduate. I remember it was after school, and I was walking home, and I spot her. I see her like just off into the distance, and you know, like I think people stand out to you if you're like familiar, especially if that person you hear stories about them, and like and that person being kind of like weird, or just like off, like you're gonna notice them, and so in my mind, I remember like thinking as like, oh, like what is she doing, or like what is she up to, kind of thing. So I kind of just started following her a little bit, and then so yeah, but it was like off to a distance where she shouldn't notice me, like, and there was like obviously people around because like China has tons of people.
Oh yeah, right.
And this is yeah, so it's not like, oh, like in your dark alleyway, but this is just like open streets kind of thing. So I was just like following her off the distance, and yeah, so I was following her, like she would take like momentary stops of just like stopping, and then and I would stop, like just so that she wouldn't notice anything, and then she would continue walking again, and so she did that about like 2 or 3 times, I would say, and then off in the streets, there was like this dead animal, like a roadkill kind of thing, and then she like starts running towards it, then she like picks it. Yeah, and then she picks it up, and I was like, oh my goodness, like what the heck is she doing? And she picks it up, and then like and then I think I could kind of tell like she like kind of smiled a little bit, but yeah, it was just.
Wait,
like,
do you
weird.
think
like,
she smiled at you?
No.
Oh,
She,
God.
she's. I think she. No. Yeah, she smiled at the situation, I guess, of finding that.
Just she was in
roadkill.
general feeling good.
Right.
Did she eat it, or did she just like take it?
She took it first. Yeah, she just took it, and so she's carrying now this roadkill, and like when you see roadkill, it's like gross, right? You're not gonna want to pick it up, like
No.
you're gonna. Yeah, you're just like, oh, that's gross, right? Like it could have a disease,
right.
or it could have any multiple things, right?
Sure.
But yeah, she just like, picked it up, and she started walking with it again, and I was just like, dude, like what is going on? Like.
I'm sorry to ask so many detailed questions, but I need like the visual of this. Was she holding it like tight to her chest, or was she like dragging it while she was walking?
No, she just like grabbed it under her armpit kind of thing, and just
my God.
walked with it.
Oh my
God.
God.
And so
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love it.
Yeah. And feel free to ask questions. I know it's like this definitely, helps me to kind of give you more details and visual pictures.
No,
so,
for sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, and so as she was walking, we do end up going to like this kind of like apartment, like there was like 2 apartments that were like across from each other, so it was kind of like an alleyway, but they were like gated as well, like fence, like there was a fence that kind of like tells you, hey, this is their apartment and this is their apartment,
right?
And then there's like a street, and so we walked through there, and then there's like this big dumpster kind of thing. And as we were like going closer to the dumpster, like she grabs something from behind the dumpster and like pulls out this bag, and and then she like dumps it out, and it's like full of just like dead roadkills of different parts of it as well. And I was like standing like maybe like 20 feet away at this point, and there's not like really anyone there in that alley. And then this is like where the scary part happens, and it's like she like looks at me, and then she like starts like she has this like smile, right? And it's like the weirdest thing. Like she gives me like this smile, and then she looks down at like the food that she just brought or like got, and she's just eating it, like going at it. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And that's where I like started freaking out. And that's where I was like, all right, I need to get out of here. Like, this is crazy. Like when you just witnessed a person just going at like a dead carcass, and then she has that creepy smile.
Thank you so much for your call, Alex. I don't think I'll ever get this terrifying visual out of my mind. This was such a crazy story. Thank you so much for being on the show. If you have a great ghost story, we do want to hear from you. Email us at litdarkpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us all about your ghost story, and we may want to feature you on the show in the future. As always, thanks so much for listening. I will see you next time right here on Laughing in the Dark. Laughing in the Dark is brought to you in part by Heck Yeah Studio. Heck Yeah Studio is a creative effort working with people to create meaningful things. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with clients to turn their ideas or existing brands into real or better versions. Heck Yeah Studio is the place to go for custom illustration for a full range of branding services, like killer logos, great colors and typography, and fun illustrations for pins, signs, prints, shirts, vehicles, posters, or anything you can imagine. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with love. Their dream client is someone who is passionate about what they do. At Laughing in the Dark, Heck Yeah Studio has designed our logo, all of our merch, and any posters or stickers that we have. I am so proud and lucky to work with such an awesome company, and I could not recommend them higher.